What's up, everybody? It's Dakota, and today I'm going to be going over the ban and restricted announcement that we got today for Magic the Gathering. Specifically, this is like modern. This kind of knew it was coming. So now that we actually have an official announcement, we can go over the three cards that decidedly got banned in modern. So the first one is Mox Opal, which is a card that people thought was going to get banned. There was a lot of talk where, and usually in the case of Wizards, they don't ban cards that are necessarily the problem. They ban cards around it so people can still essentially play the deck, but they don't have the consistency, or they're less powerful overall, things like that. So while, and in Mox Opal's case, like it enabled and also did some of the busted things as well, mainly being like playing one mana spells like on turn one and like the Urza decks, and just getting able to keep up like a counter spell after you play like an Emery, or in the terms of like affinity on like the lower end of like the power level in 2020, playing a 2-drop on turn one and filling the board with like a bunch of artifacts. So Mox Opal finally biting the dust after it's been, people have been calling for its head for years now, it feels like. So that's pretty cool, I guess. I'm kind of all right with that one. A little bit more okay with the next one. Oko getting banned in another format as well. This man thing, shapeshifter. Well, we'll call it a shapeshifter. Technically, it's that in the story. Oko has been broken in just about every format that he's been in. He's been included in like the Vintage Championship deck that turned a Black Lotus into an elk and then got it to the finish line by beating its opponent with a $30,000 green elk. Has also been banned in Standard, it's been banned in Pioneer, and now it's banned in Modern, on top of being only legal in Legacy and currently in Vintage. I would expect by like the end of the year that this card would be like restricted in Vintage and then playable, played in Commander, and that's it. There's going to be almost no supported format that people play at the competitive level where Oko is going to be allowed uh, to be more than one copy of in a deck. And if it is, that's going to be very surprising. But this card doesn't need any introduction, doesn't need any more further explanation. Is probably the best Planeswalker ever printed, and for the foreseeable future, hopefully, is the best Planeswalker that is ever printed. Because if we get any more, we're going to be looking into some pretty rough times. The last one, which isn't necessarily on a power level scale by itself, more so the games that it created. Michelson Lattice, it was never really in the main board of any decks, but it was in the sideboard of just about every deck that played the Tron lands. Just about any deck that could create a ton of mana super early when put in conjunction with Karn, the Great Creator, to basically lock your opponent out of the game of casting spells, activating abilities, uh, things like that. Since Michelson Lattice turns everything into artifacts and Karn shuts down artifacts, you can't activate your lands by tapping them for mana, because Karn doesn't stop just regular activated abilities; it stops mana abilities as well. Stops really every you from doing everything except attacking and blocking with creatures. That's about it. And that was problematic enough to where Wizards decided that banning Michelson's Lattice was enough. They even said in here it's a combination that often wins in other ways, but the deck building cost to include this interaction, Michelson's Lattice and Karn the Great Creator, causing it to show up more often than it is fun in competitive play. So they're banning Lattice instead of banning Karn. And of course, in that scenario where, real quick, going over Mox and like Oko, like they're basically played in like the same decks, like in millions of variations of the Urza deck, where you can play Mox Opal super early to leave up your counter spells, and then also play Oko a turn earlier in the format as another way to play Oko a turn sooner. And these cards just being able to enable quick kills, or really just like get your cryptic cryptic lock in, or put an Urza into play super early and then just get value incrementally with that. All these other things, like this, while it wasn't really even at like a real cost because you wanted to be green blue anyway, because Oko is very powerful and all the good green blue cards. And then Mox obviously had a ton of artifacts, so it was always just like essentially a free rock that was going to tap for any color at any point, which also could have incentivized you to play 3 or even 4 colors, 5 if you want to be an absolute heathen. But Lattice was a one of in the sideboard and being played alongside a card, and card being the card being Karn, the Great Creator, and basically Karn just getting to get sideboard bullets. So you could argue that Karn the Great Creator probably could have gotten banned, and that Mycosynth Lattice would have been fine because Lattice doesn't really do anything past just making everything in artifacts, and then permanents getting artifacts in addition to their types, and then all cards on the battlefield and permanents losing color, and then you players getting to spend mana as those mana and color. Other than that, like, it really never did anything more. It was never really played in Modern anyway. I'm sure there were some decks where people could like turn everything into artifacts and then blow up all artifacts your opponent controls. It's like the card from it's a card from like Return to Ravnica that like overloads to destroy all every artifact that your opponents control, things like that, or that you don't control rather. So I mean, aside from like those kind of interactions, like Mycosynth Lattice is one of those cards where while it's not at its surface high power level, it does something powerful, but in terms of Modern, it's not very powerful. But in conjunction with Karn, it literally just ends the game for your opponent if they don't have any creatures, because they're going to get beat down with this thing. It's definitely a quality of life ban for sure. It makes the format a little bit better because you have less games where your opponent just on turn 4 or turn 5 like stops you from playing Magic if you're not able to interact with their Planeswalker or interact with the Lattice after it's resolved. You can float mana, blow it up, things like that. One thing to note too, Force of Vigor, you cannot exile a card and cast it on your opponent's turn because Mycosynth Lattice makes spells and permanents that aren't on the battlefield colorless. So the card just stays in your hand as a colorless spell that you can't exile green cards to because nothing has color. So just a fun thing to note in this video. And that's really it for my thoughts on the banning. Overall, I think they're great. I would have liked to either see Emry or Urza go as well, because I think you could probably get rid of Emry also and then force them to play a little bit differently and build the decks differently, even though there are a few lists I've seen people going to, some 3-color builds that look kind of sweet. Definitely not nearly as consistent or as powerful as they once were, but interesting nonetheless. So I think we'll still see Urza around, but I don't think we're going to see him with this 55 win percentage against non-mirror matches like we were seeing now. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this ban and restrict announcement. Modern is going to be super sweet in the future, and hopefully within like the next few weeks we'll have the meta game settled down and see what's going on. So if you guys enjoyed the video and you like Modern and Pioneer mainly, also some sweet stuff going on in Standard with Theros Beyond Death coming out, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave a like on this video. I post videos Monday through Friday. Sometimes we do Saturday and Sunday as well. If you want to see more content from me and you watched all my YouTube videos somehow, you can go subscribe to follow me on Twitch. Not subscribe, follow me on Twitch. My Twitch user is in the description of this video as well. Follow me there. Not nearly as much Magic stuff goes on there as it is on my YouTube channel, but still like to hang out, still like to talk to people nonetheless. We try to stream at least like 2 to 3 days a week, if not more, if possible. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video.